The impossible rumor. The Galactic Council chamber was never silent, yet today the air felt heavy. Voices dropped lower, eyes shifted nervously, and no one laughed as the messenger's report echoed across the room. He was a scout from the far edges of mapped space, his skin pale with fear, his words trembling. We saw them. They are not asteroids. They are not colonies. They move. They breathe fire from engines large enough to light a system. The counselors exchanged uneasy looks. Many tried to hide their unease with laughter. Impossible, barked one, a scaled elder from the Verine League. No species can create a vessel the size of a moon, let alone a planet. But the messenger insisted, his hands shaking. We thought they were worlds at first, but they moved. They turned with purpose. And when we approached closer, our instruments failed, as if the void itself rejected our eyes. The chamber fell silent again, a silence sharper than any weapon. A small figure, cloaked in pale robes, leaned forward, her voice thin but sharp. You say these things belong to humanity. The scout hesitated, then nodded. The human sector, the sole boundary, no other species would dare build such madness. Laughter rose, nervous and forced. The idea of humans building planet-sized starships was beyond foolish. These were the same creatures once mocked for their fragile biology, their short lifespans, their desperate wars of survival. Humans cannot even control their own colonies, without riots. Another counselor sneered. How would they create such titanic machines? Yet in the far corner of the chamber, one elder did not laugh. His eyes, dark and sunken, stared at the images projected in the air. Blurry shapes, shadows in the void, silhouettes too large to be accidents. He spoke slowly. Do you forget who these humans are? You all laughed when they tamed death worlds. You all mocked them when they sent metal spears into the void. You all doubted when they faced extinction and still clawed their way back. His words spread like cold water across the assembly. The laughter faded, and unease grew heavier. Another report was read aloud. This one from an independent trader who claimed his ship passed near the Oort territories of Sol. He had sworn under oath that the stars themselves had shifted, that a shape larger than a moon drifted between orbits. The council tried to dismiss it as rumor, yet whispers spread across the galaxy. Smugglers whispered, miners whispered, mercenaries whispered, all telling stories of shadows moving where no shadows should exist. The Varen elder slammed his clawed hand on the table. Even if such vessels exist, they cannot be sustained. The energy alone would drain stars, the weight would crush itself. This is fantasy. But fear had already begun to bloom. Once a rumor starts, it no longer matters if it is true. What matters is who believes it. And across the galaxy, people began to believe on distant stations. Alien civilians spoke of the human planet ships. Jokes at first, but soon those jokes carried unease. Traders swore prices for metals and fuels had risen suddenly, as if an unseen hand was buying everything in bulk. Back in the chamber, a decision was debated. Some called for immediate dismissal, others called for covert investigation. One faction even whispered of preemptive war. Strike Earth before they unleash these monstrosities. They hissed. The elder in the corner only shook his head. You still do not understand. Humans are not reckless, they are deliberate. If these ships exist, then they are not experiments. They are finished weapons. And if they are finished, it is already too late. The chamber fell into chaos. Voices shouted. Accusations flew. The messenger stood trembling, forgotten, staring at the blurry image still floating in the air. The image showed a shadow larger than any fleet. Its outline jagged, its scale impossible, it moved with slow certainty. And though the picture was unclear, one truth was undeniable. It was not a planet. It was something built. And in the silence of that realization, fear took root in every heart. For centuries, the galaxy had laughed at humanity, mocking their fragility, mocking their stubbornness, mocking their endless ambition. But ambition, the council now remembered, is the seed of nightmares. The elder's voice whispered once more, low enough that only a few heard. The humans do not build toys, they build answers, and if they have built worlds that move, then they have built them for war. The rumor spread faster than light. leaving the council chamber, leaving the scout's trembling voice carried by smugglers, traitors, and whispers in back alleys. Soon every corner of the galaxy would know the phrase, planet-sized starships, built by humans, and whether true or not, the galaxy had already begun to fear it, the silent frontier. The spy vessel slipped through the edge of known space, its engines whispering low so no scanners would notice. The pilot's hands trembled as he adjusted the controls, for the council had sent him on a mission no one else dared to take. He was told to find the truth, to see with his own eyes whether the humans had built monsters in the void. His ship was small, fast, designed for silence. But silence did not ease his heart, not when the rumors were about worlds that moved like predators. For days he drifted through the empty dark, stars stretching cold and endless across the glass. Nothing stirred, no beacon, no trade route, only the silence of the void. Then his instruments began to fail. First the navigation compass flickered, then the long-range sensors froze. Alarms whispered weakly as if smothered. He cursed and struck the panels, but they would not respond. When he looked out the viewport, he understood why. Ahead of him, blocking the starlight, was a shadow so vast his mind refused to believe it. It was not a planet. Its lines were wrong, its edges too sharp. Its surface bore scars of industry, massive towers, ridges like mountains, yet all built. Not natural, it moved. Slowly, deliberately, a titan crossing the void. And though the pilot knew he was hundreds of kilometers away, he felt as if a mountain was passing just above his head. His breath caught in his throat. Every instinct screamed at him to run, but his orders were clear. Record, observe, report. So with shaking hands he activated the visual recorder, praying it would not betray him like the other systems had. Lights flickered along the giant's surface. Not random, but patterned, controlled, like cities alive upon its skin. He thought he saw oceans glimmering under some kind of shield. Clouds, drifting, as if an entire world had been folded into metal. This is no ship, he whispered to himself. This is a world that sails. Then the planet ship changed course, its engines waking, fire erupted across the void, brighter than suns. The force of it shook his tiny vessel. His alarms screamed again before dying completely. The spy gripped his chair, his teeth clenched, his vision blurred as gravity pressed on him. His ship spun from the shockwave, and when it steadied, the Colossus was gone, sliding deeper into the black. He knew then that no fleet in the galaxy could stand against such a thing. No empire, no council, no combined armada. Because how does one fight a planet that moves? He tried to retreat, tried to turn his vessel back toward safe space, but even retreat was not easy. Shadows followed him, smaller shapes moving around. The Titan, escort vessels, human designs, their sleek silhouettes unmistakable. They glided in formation, knights guarding their king. One broke off, heading toward him, his blood froze. The smaller ship was still larger than his spy craft, its weapons glowed faintly, and though it did not fire, its presence was warning enough. He turned his ship away, trembling, and fled as fast as his failing engines allowed. Behind him, the world ship and its guardians faded back into the stars, silent as they had appeared. It took him weeks to crawl back into council space, his systems damaged, his sleep haunted by visions of a mountain of metal gliding through the void. When he finally staggered into the council chamber, clothes ragged, eyes hollow, he collapsed before the assembly and offered the recording. The projection filled the air with blurry but undeniable truth. A shape so large it swallowed the stars, moving with purpose, its skin alive with lights, its escort ships circling like predators. The chamber erupted, voices shouting, some crying, fraud, others demanding war. But one phrase repeated above all others, whispered in fear. Planet ships. The spy could barely speak. His lips cracked, his voice faint. You asked for proof. I give you proof, and I pray you never see them closer than I did. The counselors stared at the image, their laughter gone, their arrogance shattered. They now knew the rumors were not only true but worse than they imagined. For humanity had not built ships. They had built moving worlds, and the galaxy's silence could not hide it any longer. The council's panic. The council chamber shook with noise. Dozens of voices rose at once. Claws banged on tables. Wings flapped in agitation. Translators hummed as the uproar filled the hall. The spy's recording hovered in the air, showing the blurred but undeniable image, a shadow so large it swallowed constellations. Escort ships circling like sharks around a drifting mountain. It was not imagination. It was real. They cannot be allowed to finish such madness, a voice roared. A reptilian warlord from the Chris Dominion. Strike Earth now. Burn their systems before they unleash these things. No, a softer voice countered. The envoy from the Eliari, her feathers trembling. If these are complete, then striking now will only provoke them. You saw the escort ships, even their smaller vessels dwarfed our cruisers. Fear spread like fire through the chamber. One counselor shouted that the images were faked. Another demanded a second investigation. Yet none could explain how the spy had returned half dead, his ship nearly broken, his eyes haunted by what he had seen. An elder raised a hand, silencing the chaos. It was the same elder who had warned them before. His voice calm, but every word struck heavy. You still do not understand. Humans do not build myths. They build survival. If they built ships the size of worlds, it means they expect something even worse than you. The hall froze. Those words cut deeper than any weapon. The idea that humanity would spend centuries of effort, mountains of resources, just to boast, was laughable. Humans never wasted their pain. If they built planet ships, then there was a reason. But why? Whispered the Eliari envoy, her voice shaking. What enemy could demand such power? The Chris warlord slammed his claw again. It does not matter why, it matters that they exist, and if they exist, then humanity holds the galaxy hostage. The elder shook his head, his dark eyes fixed on the recording. No, not hostage. Warning. A younger counselor, voice sharp with fear, stood up and shouted, Then let us unite, call every fleet, every empire, crush Sol before it is too late. The hall erupted again, but not everyone agreed. Some species remembered the wars against humanity. They remembered how humans fought, how they refused to surrender even when hopeless. Those memories were carved deep. Strike Earth, the warlord demanded again, or one day their moving worlds will darken your skies. Strike Earth, echoed others, their voices trembling, not with courage but with fear. Yet another group shouted back, Madness, do you wish to provoke annihilation? Do you not see? One blast from such a ship could erase a fleet. If they awaken their weapons, none of us will survive. The chamber descended into chaos. Translators screamed to keep up. Guards moved to restrain counselors from clawing at one another. Fear had stripped them of diplomacy. Above the noise, the elder's voice whispered again, not loud yet clear. You all ask if these ships exist, you have seen they do. You ask if they can be stopped, I tell you they cannot. The question you should ask is why humans have built them, and why they remain silent. Silence fell for a heartbeat, then returned stronger because silence was worse than threats. Humanity had not boasted, had not announced their creation. They had hidden their planet ships. Only rumors and unlucky spies revealed them. It was not arrogance, it was patience. The Eliari envoy shivered, her feathers ruffling. What if they are not meant for us? The hall stared at her. Confusion rising, she continued. What if humanity knows of something else, something beyond the void? What if these ships are not weapons of conquest, but shields against something worse? Thought spread like a cold wind, and for a moment even the warlord grew silent because deep inside, everyone feared the unknown beyond the stars. Still, fear of humanity was stronger. By the end of the session, no agreement was made. Some wanted war, some wanted peace, but all left with the same truth burning in their minds. The humans had built planet ships, and the galaxy had no answer. Outside the chamber, whispers spread faster than any decree. Traders, smugglers, even servants carried the story across systems. Soon every world, every colony, every market stall spoke of the same rumor as if it were law. Humanity had built worlds that sailed, and now the galaxy must decide. Attack before it is too late, or wait and see what humans unleash. But deep in their hearts, the counselors already knew it was too late because the ships were already awake. Humanity's silence, The council wasted no time. Envoys were chosen, fleets prepared for escort, and messages crafted with trembling words. For none dared speak to humanity with open threats, not when the image of the planet ship still lingered above their memories. The first envoy was a proud ambassador of the Chris Dominion, his voice sharp, his eyes cold. He stood tall when he reached Earth's orbital gate. He declared with authority, "By the will of the Galactic Council, humanity is ordered to reveal the truth of these vessels. You will submit them for inspection or face consequences." But the gate remained closed. The humans did not answer. The envoy repeated his message 3 times, each louder, each more desperate, until even his escorts shifted uneasily in their seats. Yet the silence from Earth was absolute, not even static, not even a refusal, only emptiness. Days passed, then weeks. More envoys tried, some came with demands, others with offers, promises of alliance, even bribes of entire systems, but all were met with the same response: silence. Across the galaxy, this silence was more frightening than any threat, for threats could be measured, but silence could mean anything. In markets and stations, rumors grew wild. "The humans are preparing for war," one voice whispered. "No," said another. "They are preparing for something." Worse, the council grew restless. Meetings stretched through sleepless cycles. Arguments broke into near violence, still no word from Earth. At last, a daring faction sent spy fleets into Sol's outer territories. Their mission simple: watch, record, and return. But the fleets did not return. Only fragments of signals drifted back, distorted, scrambled, and in every signal the same haunting image appeared. Shadows of colossal shapes drifting through the void, their outlines vast enough to blot stars, their lights flickering like cities in motion. The council chambers fell into fearful silence. Once more, the Eliari envoy, feathers ruffled with unease, asked the question none wished to hear. What if humanity's silence is not defiance? What if it is a warning? A warning that we should stay away, the Chris warlord hissed back. Or a trap? They hide their monsters, waiting to unleash them upon us. If we wait, we give them time. If we strike, at least we strike first. Yet, not all agreed. Voices of reason rose. Striking first against humans has never ended well. Do you forget the wars of attrition? Do you forget their death world armies? Even now you tremble at shadows. But shadows are not. The silence gnawed at them all. Meanwhile, far from the council's chaos, within hidden human strongholds, movement stirred. Vast docks hidden in the black of space hummed with energy. Smaller warships vanished from known routes, their signals erased, their paths concealed. Colonies near Sol whispered of missing convoys, massive shipments of metals, fuels, and food disappearing without trace. But no pirate was blamed, for everyone suspected the truth. The humans were feeding giants. A miner in the asteroid belt swore he saw the surface of a rock split apart, revealing the curved hull of something vast beneath. He tried to report it, but his transmission was cut mid-sentence. Even without words, humanity's actions spoke, louder than any declaration. They did not explain, they did not deny, they did not threaten. They simply worked in silence, and that silence filled the galaxy with dread. The Eliari envoy, more cautious than most, began to keep her own records. She noted how human colonies, once noisy with trade and chatter, had grown quiet. Ports closed, traffic slowed, as if all of humanity had turned inward, their eyes fixed on something greater, something terrible. She confided to her aides, "It feels as though they are listening not to us but to something far beyond us, something coming." Her words spread in secret, whispered across the chambers, and though the warlord scoffed, many believed. Then one night the council received a single signal from the Sol boundary. It was short, a voice cold and calm. "Stay away. No threats, no explanations, no arrogance, just 2 words, and then silence again." The words chilled the chamber more than any roar of war could have, because they were not shouted. They were spoken with certainty. The council sat frozen, each one wondering, stay away from what? From humanity, or from what humanity was preparing to face? The awakening of giants. The void was quiet, but silence never lasted long where humans worked. Deep in the shadow of a forgotten star, something began to stir. At first it was only a faint tremor, a vibration so soft even the spy drones hidden nearby almost missed it. Then came the light, slow, dim, like the heartbeat of a dying sun. The planet ship was waking. Its engines, vast beyond reason, flickered with power. Waves of energy rippled through the dark. Nearby asteroids cracked and drifted apart as gravity bent beneath the strain. Sensors in distant systems screamed warnings. Entire colonies felt the shift as if the void itself had changed its breath. Alien eyes widened in disbelief, for they were watching a world move, not with natural orbit but with purpose. Its mass shifted, its hull gleamed. Mountains of metal and oceans of light flowed across its skin. A voice in the council chambers cried out, "It lives," though no one knew if the speaker meant the ship or the terror inside them. The escorts appeared next, dozens of human warships sliding from the shadows, their hulls sleek, their weapons glowing faintly. They formed around the Titan like guardians, knights circling their king. From one system away, a Varen spy vessel recorded everything. Its crew sat frozen, unable to speak, their screens filled with impossible scale. Their captain whispered, "This is no ship. This is an empire that moves." Back on Earth, no words were spoken. Humanity remained silent, yet their silence was drowned by the thunder of their machines. The planet ship's engines roared, fully awake. Light poured across. The void, brighter than the nearest sun, its wake tore through space, bending it, twisting it as if the laws of nature themselves were forced to obey. Across the galaxy, signals carried the news, shaky transmissions from spies, fragments from hidden satellites. Every corner of known space saw the same image. A human planet ship moving alive. Markets crashed overnight. Fear swept across stations. Entire fleets were recalled to home systems. Not because they thought they could fight, but because they feared what might come next. Inside the council chambers, chaos returned. Some screamed that this was proof of human conquest. Others argued that humanity was preparing for something unseen, something worse than war. The elder who had warned them all along spoke once more, his voice soft, yet unshaken. "You have seen now, there is no denying. Humanity has woken its giants. You must ask yourselves, do they march against you or for you?" But no one answered. In the depths of space, the awakening continued. Massive hangar doors opened along the planet ship's surface, revealing smaller vessels inside like stars being born. Thousands of them, each ready for war. The spy vessel recording this shook violently as waves of energy spread outward. Its captain ordered retreat. But before they could leave, a single human warship intercepted them. No weapons fired, no threat spoken, only a message sent across every channel. "Do not follow." Then the human warship turned away, returning to its formation, leaving the spy crew trembling in silence. When the recording reached the council, no one laughed anymore. No one sneered. They watched the Titan glide through the void with a slowness that felt more terrifying than speed, unstoppable, deliberate, eternal. One counselor whispered to herself, "A planet that sails, how do we fight such a thing?" The elder answered without being asked, "You don't." For the first time in centuries, the mighty Galactic Council had no plan, no strategy, no answer, only fear. And still, humanity said nothing. The first encounter, the galaxy trembled with fear. But fear alone could not hold back pride. Among the great empires there were always those who believed themselves stronger. Always those who thought humanity's silence was weakness. The Dravari Empire was the first to act. Their fleets were legendary, their cannons known to pierce moons, their arrogance thicker than their armor. Their rulers laughed at the council's hesitation. "If humans truly have built planet ships, then we will be the ones to claim them." They gathered their war fleet, hundreds of cruisers, carriers, and destroyers. They marched to the border of Sol like hunters chasing prey. Their banners filled the void, their voices carried on every channel. "Humans, surrender your weapons, or face annihilation." But Earth did not reply. At the edge of the Oort cloud, the Dravari fleet formed their blockade. They waited, restless, their commanders eager to prove their power. Then the shadows came. First the escorts, silent and sleek, dozens of human warships gliding into formation. They did not speak, they did not threaten, they only circled, their presence alone a warning. Then the stars went dark. The planet ship emerged, its vast hull drifting slowly into the blockade, its sheer size bending gravity, its engines humming low like thunder across eternity. The Dravari fleet fell into silence. One of their admirals sneered. "It is only size, nothing more, fire." The order echoed across their armada. Beams of light and missiles screamed toward the human titan. The void lit up brighter than any sun. Explosions rippled across its surface, but when the fire cleared, the ship remained untouched, its armor absorbing everything like rain on stone. The Dravari shouted with anger. Again, fire everything. Their cannons unleashed storms, but the giant did not break. It did not even slow. It continued forward, silent, steady, unshaken. Then, for the first time, the human titan answered. From deep within its core, a single beam of light emerged. Slow, bright, pure, it struck one Dravari battleship, and in an instant half their fleet was gone, vaporized in silence. No wreckage, no escape pods, nothing but ash in the void. The survivors froze, their weapons silent, their voices lost, the arrogance of an empire shattered in a single heartbeat. The escorts moved next, smaller human warships weaving through the remains, but still they did not fire again. They only pushed the Dravari back with presence alone, forcing them to retreat. Those who survived fled, their transmissions desperate, carrying the same words over and over. They destroyed us with one shot. When the message reached the council, fear spread deeper than ever, for the truth was clear now. The human planet ships were not only real, they were untouchable, unstoppable, gods of steel and fire moving among stars. And still, humanity said nothing. The elder in the council chamber whispered what many already feared. This was not conquest, this was warning. Humanity did not destroy them all. They let the survivors carry the tale. They wanted the galaxy to know. The Ilyari envoy shivered, her feathers trembling. If that was mercy, then their wrath would be the end of us all. The council sat, in silence, powerless, their great fleets suddenly small, their great armies suddenly meaningless. The balance of power shattered in one strike, and yet deep in their hearts a darker question began to grow. If humanity did not build these ships to conquer, then why had they built them? What enemy could force a species to turn entire planets into weapons, and if that enemy was still out there, what would happen when it arrived? The galaxy learns fear. The galaxy was no longer the same. News of the Dravari defeat spread like wildfire. Every station, every colony, every world whispered the same words. Planet ships, humanity had awakened giants, and in one strike, they had broken the pride of an empire. The council chamber was silent for the first time in its history. Not a whisper, not an argument, only the weight of dread pressing against every voice. They knew now that humanity's silence was not weakness, it was power. The Ilyari envoy, her feathers dull from sleepless nights, finally spoke. We cannot fight them. We cannot even understand them. If they built these ships, they must know something we do not. Her words echoed through the chamber. None denied them, not even the Chris warlord who had once demanded war. His claws drummed nervously on the table, his eyes shifting as if searching for a way to escape. But there was no escape, not from this truth. Then it came, a message, short, sharp, and undeniable, across every channel, on every frequency, translated into every tongue. The voice was calm, human, steady as stone. These ships are not for you. The words fell like thunder. The counselors froze, their minds racing. Not for us, then for what? The message continued. We built them because the galaxy is not empty. We built them for what comes after you. Silence followed, more terrifying than the words themselves. The council stared at one another, some pale with terror, others trembling with confusion. None dared speak first. What comes after us? Whispered the Ilyari envoy. But no answer came. Humanity had spoken once and then fell silent again. Whispers spread across the stars. If the planet ships were not for conquest, then what enemy required such monsters? What force lay beyond the rim of known space, so dreadful that humanity forged entire worlds into weapons? Some hoped it was a bluff, that humanity was only weaving fear into the void. But the image of the Dravari fleet, shattered in a single beam, burned too deep to ignore. Merchants refused to travel near Sol. Colonies near human space grew restless. Rumors spoke of more giants waking in the dark, and though no proof was given, everyone believed. The elder who had warned them from the beginning sat back in his chair, his voice soft but clear. Do you see now humans never waste their pain? They never build without reason. They are not our enemies, but they may be the only shield between us and something worse. His words offered no comfort, only heavier silence. Out in the void, the planet ship drifted slow, steady, its escorts like shadows, its engines humming like the heartbeat of a god. Across its skin, lights flickered, not random but patterned, like signals in a language none could read. Another Titan stirred nearby, then another, one by one. The giants began to wake, entire fleets forming not of ships, but of worlds. The galaxy watched in awe and terror as more and more of the human planet ships emerged from darkness, their scale beyond comprehension, their silence louder than any war cry. No threats, no declarations, no demands, only a single truth carved into the hearts of every species. Humanity had built planet ships. Humanity had prepared for something far greater than war. And in that silence, the galaxy finally understood fear, not the fear of humans, but the fear of what humanity must have seen in the dark to make them build giants. The council tried to meet again, tried to form words of strategy, but no strategy existed. They could only wait. They could only watch. They could only pray that whatever humanity was preparing for would never come. But deep down, they all knew. It was already coming. The last image broadcast across the stars was not of battle, nor destruction, but of a single human planet ship turning slowly, its engines glowing brighter than suns, and behind it, shadows of more Titans awakening. The message still echoed in their ears, haunting and cold. These ships are not for you. And with those words, the galaxy learned fear,